Today we're going to go through a small sequence together, focusing on the front and the backs of the legs, also the insides and the outside. If you have 2 blocks, that'd be great. Otherwise you can use books or anything that would be an appropriate substitution, or for some of you, you may not even need anything. Try to keep this short and sweet. Let's get straight into it. So start with the right foot forwards. Left leg is going behind, knees flat to the ground. If you need to pad the knee with a blanket, please do. Hands are on the blocks or hands are on the floor. Gently to begin, just push the hips back. Maybe the front leg goes fully straight, so we'll call this a half split. Push the hips forwards into a lunge. Back, forwards, and just moving through these 2 positions a couple of times first. Forward and back. Maybe each time you push forwards, the hips go a little bit further forward. Each time you push back, you lean forward a little bit more. Couple more like this. The next time you go forwards towards the lunge, stay there. Foot is roughly in line with the knee. If the foot's a little bit forward, don't worry. If the knee's a little bit forward, don't worry. If it feels comfortable, try to lift the torso as much as possible. Think about stacking the shoulders over the hips. Blocks don't need to be in line with the ankle. They can walk back. That's going to help you lift a little bit higher. You can always have your hands onto the thigh. If the shin bone is quite long and your arms are less long, you can always double up the block on sort of the open side. So in this case, the left hand. And finding relative stillness here. So you've been in there while I've been talking for roughly 20 seconds. You're going to looking to be holding the position for roughly 60 seconds. With each inhale, try to expand the rib cage. As you exhale, look to push the hips forwards and down. Inhale, expand the ribs. Exhale, push the hips forwards and down. Last 15 seconds here. Looking to feel an opening in the left thigh. At the end of the 60 seconds here, we'll be moving towards the half split. So that's 60 seconds here. Hands onto the 2 blocks, hands onto the floor. Hips go back. Front leg extends, toes lift up. Ideally, hip is roughly in line with the knee, so if it's pushed a little bit too far back, walk the front foot a little bit further forward. The more the toes pull towards you, the more of a stretch through your calf you're going to get. If this position feels okay, inhale, lift the chest. Think about creating space. Exhale and fold over the leg. The more you fold forward and the more the hands go forward, the deeper the sensation of stretch is going to be in the back of the leg. And even if you're in relative stillness, you're still using the breath like we did before exactly in the lunge. Creating space on the inhale, softening into the exhale. 15 seconds here. Maybe the hands walk a little bit further forward. Maybe you fold a little bit deeper. Last full breath here. Bend the front knee, transition the weight to come forward. Move the blocks out of the way if you're using them. Walk your right foot all the way to the left, so heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe. Let the knee come down to the ground, but also let the hip drop out. So roll over to the side, so there's a 90-degree angle on the front leg. The back leg, the hip is open, so you're not staying on the top. Wherever it feels most comfortable, a little bend in the knee is fine. Rotate to look at the front leg. Maybe this is enough of a stretch. If that feels okay, you can start to fold forward. We'll call this kind of the lazy pigeon. Maybe onto the forearms, if you have the blocks. Arms on the blocks, head can be supported by the block. If this is enough, stay like this. You can also play with the rotation of the torso. You can try to headbutt your foot. For some of you, rotating the opposite way, so towards the right knee, also may give you a better sensation. So find the position that serves you best, and then staying relatively still, but while still focusing on working actively with your breath. So expanding on the breath in, softening on the breath out. That's halfway here. And again, as always, if the body opens up, feel free to go deeper. So if you're on the forearms and it feels comfortable, You can start to think about putting your forehead onto the floor maybe, or if you're in a rotation, trying to add a bit more or reaching a little bit further away. Last full breath here. Coming up, releasing the legs, giving them a shake, and then that same little sequence on the second side. Left foot is now in the front, like we did before to begin, just moving through the lunge and the half split, forwards and backwards. And taking your time with each lunge forward, try to sink the hips lower. As the hips go back, maybe looking to fully extend the leg if you can't quite, or lean a little bit further forwards. Couple more here. The next time you go forwards into the lunge, stay there. Everything is the same as the first side. Try to lift the torso up. Find the position for the blocks or the hands that suits you best. Both sides do not need to look the same. As much as possible, shoulders on top of the hips. With each inhalation creating space or expanding through your ribs. As you breathe out, trying to push the hips forwards and down. Feel free to double the blocks on the open side, so that would be under the right hand this time. Using the inhale and the exhale. Sensation should never become painful, so always tolerable discomfort is okay, but staying on that side, never transgressing into a position that personally feels painful for you. Last 15 seconds here, maybe trying to actively sink the hips forward, keeping the chest lifted as much as you can. Last full breath here. Coming out, transitioning to your half split. Hips push back. The hips have gone too far back or they're behind the knee. Maybe walk the front foot forwards a little bit. Find a position that feels comfortable. First inhale, exaggerate lifting the chest, create space first. On the exhalation, fold to find your Goldilocks position here. And then over time, there's always the opportunity for micro adjustments. With each exhalation, trying to find more and more space. So the forehead is trying to find the shin bone. The crown of the head is pointing to the toes. Try to keep the toes actively pulling towards you so you also stretch through your calf. That's halfway here. Again, it can be interesting to notice the difference between the two sides. So if this is your non-show-off side, be gentle with it. Focus on creating a similar sensation rather than trying to emulate the same aesthetic position. Last 10 seconds here. Three, two, one. Bend the front knee, transition the weight to come forward, move the blocks if they're in the way. Heel toe your left foot all the way to the right. Drop the left knee down to the ground, let the hip also drop out, find your lazy pigeon, back leg as long as it feels comfortable. Rotate to look at the front leg, find the position that works for you. So you can come straight down, add the rotation to the left knee, or add the rotation towards the foot. Use the blocks in whichever position or variation suits you best. Finding relative stillness in the body. Finding a position that's intense enough but without ever becoming painful. That's halfway here. Also the opportunity, if you've gotten too cocky or you've gone too deep into a position, you can always pull back slightly. We're not looking for numbing sensations, anything that feels sharp shooting or anything you would personally describe as surprising. This is not what we are looking for. Last 10 seconds here, maybe trying to find your deepest expression. 3, 2, 1. Slowly release, giving the legs a shake. So far we've gone front, back, front, back, outside. Now coming onto the inside, we'll do both legs together. This will be a butterfly. Soles of the feet are coming together. Imagining opening the feet as if they are a book. So trying to get the soles of your feet to point as much to the ceiling as possible. Hands interlace underneath. As long as the knees aren't in pain, it's okay for them to be in the air. If you want to support them with the blocks, there's always the option to do so. With the hands interlaced underneath, take a big exaggerated inhale as you lift the chest as much as you can. On the exhalation, bend the elbows to come down. If your forehead touches your toes, congratulations for you. If you would like a support and you have the blocks again, on any of the height settings, you can use multiple. Elbows are giving a helping hand to the legs, but you're not trying to pop your thigh bones out of your pelvis. Again, continuing to expand the ribs as you breathe in, softening as you breathe out. Maybe over time the knees will get ever so slightly lower, looking for a stretch now on the inside of the hips. Halfway here. Adjusting as you need to, so if you're using a block, the progressions are simple. If you feel like you can easily rest the head, maybe you change the height and see if you can find the new position or as a position to work towards. Last 10 seconds here. 3, 2, 1. Vertebra by vertebra, roll slowly up through your spine. Hands to the outside of the knees to bring them together. Release the legs and give them a shake. And then doing that same sequence a second time here. So maybe trying to find deeper positions in each one. Returning back to the lunge. Right foot is forwards. Pelvis sinks forward and down. Find the position for the hands. Maybe 2 blocks on the same side, torso is lifted. Same idea, inhale, create space. Exhale, actively push the pelvis forwards and down. And then finding this notion of working through relative stillness. So we're not dynamically moving the body, but we're using the breath to find and create space for us to go deeper and deeper. Halfway here. Not forcing a deeper position, but just following it as the body opens up. Last 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Moving to the half split. Hips go back, front leg goes as straight as you can, toes pull up, adjust the front foot if you need to. First inhale, lift the chest, straighten the arms, create space. On the exhalation, fold forwards. Maybe you get a little bit more or a little bit of a deeper forward fold the second time round. Never putting yourself into pain, always working with your breath here. Halfway, if there's an opportunity, maybe the hands walk forwards. If you have blocks, maybe a little bit lower on the blocks, maybe fold a little bit further. Breath should always stay soft and smooth. If you're getting to a point where it's or you're holding your breath, then this is probably way too much and you need to back off slightly. 10 seconds here. 3, 2, 1. Bend the front knee, transition the weight to come forwards towards the lazy pigeon. Right foot walks all the way to the left. Drop the hip down. Find the 90-degree angle on the front leg. Back leg is comfortable. Rotate to look forwards. Find the position that works for you. Adding rotation to the torso if you want to. Relative stillness here. Halfway. Adjust if you need to, maybe finding a slightly deeper position or adding a rotation to your torso. Last 10 seconds here. Breath remains soft and smooth. 3, 2, 1. Come back up onto the hands, roll out to the side, release the legs, maybe shake. Same thing, second side here. Left foot comes forwards, beginning in the lunge. Hips are pushing forwards and down. Torso lifts up. This is the fourth lunge you've done, so you've probably found the position that suits you best, so hopefully you're in that. And without trying to sound like a broken record, continuing to use the breath, so expanding the ribs, exhale, actively push the pelvis forwards and down. Try to keep the chest lifted as much as you can. Maybe trying to find your deepest expression here. Last 15 seconds. Three, 2, 1. Hands come down to the floor or the blocks. Half split, push the hips back, straighten the leg, lift the toes. Adjust the front foot as you need to. First inhalation, lift the chest, look forwards, create as much space as you can, fold over the leg and maintain. That's halfway here. Opportunity for adjustments with the hands, with the torso. Noticing the toes, are you still actively pulling them towards you or have you let the foot go soft? Last 10 seconds here. Maybe a small walk forward. Again, make sure the breath stays soft and smooth. You're not pushing into pain. For 3, 2, 1. Transition to your lazy pigeon. Final time. Bend the front knee. Transition the weight. Move the blocks if they're there. Left foot goes all the way to the right. Knee and hip find the floor. Establish the 90-degree angle on the front leg. Establish comfort in the back leg. Rotate towards your front leg and then coming down. Find the option that suits you best on this side in this second set. Halfway here, adjusting if you want to. Maybe a deeper position, as we've been speaking about, maybe adding the rotation. But the answer can be to stay exactly where you are if these sensations are perfect. Perfect in an uncomfortable discomfort way. Last 10. 3, 2, 1. Slowly release. Final butterfly stretch here, so finishing on the inside of the legs. Just as we did the first time, soles of the feet together, knees wide. Open the book of your feet. Try to keep the book open as you interlace the hands underneath. Big exaggerated inhale, lift the chest as much as you can. On the exhalation, bend the elbows, maybe they're onto the legs, maybe they're in front, and fold forward. Find a position that feels good for you. If you want to have the head supported and you can't touch the feet, make sure you've got a prop. If it feels okay to have the head in space, don't worry about having the head supported. As you work the inhale here, you can think of pushing the crown of the head forward slightly or lifting the chest without lifting too much up. And on the exhale, trying to go down. So you're not only trying to round through the spine, there's a notion of pushing forwards and coming down. This may be of value if you have the dream one day of putting your head on the floor in front of the toes. We need to get over the top to come down. Last 15 seconds here, maybe trying to find your deepest expression. Three, 2, 1. Roll up through the spine, hands to the outside of the legs, bring the legs together, and then release. And we are finished. Thank you for joining.